Wow, wild one at Carteret County Speedway. The Carteret Clash, appropriately named. I'm Bob Dillner, he's JB Cole, and I don't know where to start on this one because there's a few stories, and I think the one of most note certainly is what happened between Joey Coulter and Zach Brewer, because that got a little bit of a Bowman Gray-esque type feel.
Yeah, that's something that the name lived up to tonight, the Clash. And I was wondering from the get-go, the drop of the green, who would live up to the name. And tonight, it was Zach Brewer and Joey Coulter. Zach had me doing a somersault out of the flag stand, grabbing him from him getting back on the track to take care of business, by his own hands. And we'll address that, me and Chris Williams, and we've already sat down with Zach, got his side, sat down with Joey, got his side, and look, it's a tight place here at Carteret County. Beautiful place, but tight corners, and it's a little bull ring. Flat track, nowhere to go when something happens. Just stay tuned. Tuesday's coming.
Two things I want to say about that whole thing is, number one, listen, when you get hit in a race car and then you take a hard lick, we were actually just talking to Brandon Ward about this, no matter what's going to happen, you think it's somebody else's fault. Yeah. And you'll be able to hear what Joey Coulter and Zach Brewer had to say on Short Track Life, and I think Zach had a little bit different opinion of what happened on the racetrack once he was able to see the Flow Racing replay. So that's number one. But at the same time, you gotta understand that these drivers are emotional, and this place is really demanding upon the drivers. So I think the big thing for Zach Brewer that he needs to understand is he walked out into a racetrack. Okay, that's number one. And what he did, by the way, just in case you didn't see it, is he went over and said something to Joey Coulter after the two made contact, and Brewer wound up in the wall, and he pulled the coil wires, right off the car. And then Joey was, he was messed up. He lost laps, trying to fix that. And then Zach Brewer went back and did it again on pit road. So a lot of things for the Smart Series that, we're not going to talk about tonight, because you don't never talk about anything right after the race anyway. They'll review it all and address it with the drivers and so forth. Zach Brewer told us that he's expecting to talk about it on Tuesday. So we'll leave it at that. Let's talk about some good stories.
Yeah.
Heck of a fight for the win late in the race.
I'm telling you, like I said, the Clash, it lived up to its name because of two drivers that got into it right here on the front stretch, but it also lived up to its name because two veteran drivers and a Cup legend, Ryan Newman and Brandon Ward, that's been around racing forever, put on a heck of a show. And you know me, I've always said that in these videos, I'm all about the show. And that, I had the best seat in the house to watch them two go at it. Coming out of 4, everybody knows how Ryan Newman makes that rear bumper pretty wide and makes it tough. Brandon Ward, he did what he had to do. There was a couple times he made it on the outside. Didn't hold too long coming out of 4, but he put his bumper down here in 1 under Ryan Newman and drag raced down the back stretch, and it was on from there. They put on a heck of a show for these fans. Packed house. Carteret always comes out strong, and them two clashed, and Brandon Ward came out on top.
I'm going to tell you what I asked Brandon Ward, and I'm going to ask you the same question and not tell you what Brandon said. Do you think last week at Ace, when Brandon finished in the top 5 and lost more points to Bert Myers, who won his 3rd straight, did that drive him even more this week?
Oh, absolutely. It's fueled that fire. It's all about that smart 3 that gets decided after this stretch of races, these grueling races, as you saw tonight. It was pretty grueling. It's all about that smart 3 at South Boston Speedway, which leads into the Rumble in Rougemont in Orange County. I cannot wait. And it's all about that and making it in there, because then it comes down to Orange County. If you're a part of that smart 3. So Brandon, he saw what happened to Coulter, took advantage of that, took it to a whole nother level. And for him to go up against Ron Newman, wow. He put on a show and an impressive performance out of Brandon and both Ryan. But Danny Bohn, I think we're about to talk about that.
You stole my next question.
That was heartbreak because Danny Bohn, talking about putting on a show, he put on a clinic.
He did.
Throughout the whole race. Danny was pretty disappointed. I've already talked to him. Look, this is not a perfect tour. We have our headaches. We have our bumps in the road. Something probably happened that was out of our control that he was on the wrong end of the stick. And I hate it for Danny Bohn, but let me tell you something. He gets back in that 24, he gets back on a tricycle. He's going to put on a show and perform at his best. He would have been right up there with Ryan and Brandon for the win.
And I'm going to clarify here just because, and if I get into trouble for it, that's fine. But the clarification, because, JB talked about and he alluded to something. What happened was the pit was called open, okay? But the flagman over there in the corner.
Not this flagman.
Not this flagman, another flagman.
Open, closed pit road guy.
Still had the red flag out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Danny's like, okay, is it open or is it
Yeah.
not? And
Yeah.
everybody else went down, and it's just what happens,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
But the series has already talked to Danny Bohn and that Buddy Ellis team, and it stinks. Danny's laughing, okay? He's like, well, that sucks. Then he was trying to figure out, do I come down pit road, another caution,
Yeah.
or do I stay out? Yeah. He almost made it work, but faded a little bit just outside the top 5. Yeah. Bad break for him, for sure.
I hate it. I really wished he was a part of that finish there. I know he would have been up there.
Yeah.
We went straight to him as soon as the race was done, and there's no good answer for that one. He'll be back. He'll be back for sure and be up there, and he'll end up being a good show.
Hey, lastly, we talked about Bert just a little
Yeah.
bit to talk about how it inspired maybe Brandon
Yeah.
Ward. But Bert, man, I feel like he's got a sigh of relief tonight because he starts 13th, qualified poorly for his standards.
Yeah.
And then, he really didn't sniff the top 5 often during this race and slid right in there at the end of the race. And I think saved, more points from being lost.
Yeah, he did. There, one time I thought that he was going to be kind of off. Most of the race he was back there in the back, like you said, 13th, 14th. But then he ended up working his way. That team never gives up, and they're still on a mission. Their objective is get that title, and they showed it tonight as far as not giving up, cracking the top 5. He did what he had to do. He's watching those two that were back there in the points behind him, second and third, and that was Coulter and Brandon. He saw what happened to Coulter, and he took advantage of that. And he saw how strong Brandon was, and I think he amped it up and did what he had to do to stay close.
Is Hell Weeks wearing on you yet?
Nah.
2 in a row so far, 4 in a row total, and it's 8 and 10 races. I mean, listen, you're in the flag stand, I'm announcing, I talk, you hyped up the crowd a little bit tonight, thank you. But these teams, it is grueling though.
Oh, man.
And fun.
Let me tell you something. I will go to bat for each and every team. I don't care if they yell at me, cuss me, call me every name in the book at night. I'll still, if they're broke down on the side of the road there, I'd help them to get them back to the track because these smart stars are the best here in the South. We had somebody come from up north because they want to know what it's all about down here. We've got something special going on. And Justin Gumley, he came and found out.
Yeah, that was cool to see him come down from New Jersey. Of course, success at the Turkey Derby, at Wall State. I was talking to Jimmy Blewett, honestly, about him. I said, tell me something about Justin Gumley. And, Justin Mincy gave me some stats as well. So thank you to both Showtime and our stat guy, Justin Mincy. But listen, Carteret County Speedway, beautiful. What this staff does here. You do a lot with paint and signs and the facility, manicuring it. Yeah. And they do a dang good job here. So next Labor Day, do we know if we're back here yet?
As far as I'm concerned,
hopefully we're back here.
As far as I'm concerned, we're back. This place is a great example of all these other racetracks. A little bit of elbow grease will go a long way. Yeah. Put some effort into your place and make it look like this. Carteret County sets the bar for short track racing. I was
going to say, you better answer your phone. That's it for us here. A beautiful facility. We loved it. We cannot wait to go to Dominion Raceway in Spotsylvania, Virginia, just north of Richmond, just south of D.C. That is another beautiful facility. Looking forward to that next Saturday night, September 9th. Thank you for watching us. Remember, we interviewed Brandon Ward. You can find that on Short Track Life. And if you can't make it to the track, watch on Flow Racing.